Hi there, it's Petey, and um, what is it? Oh, it's October 28th. Interesting date. Anyway, guess I'm doing a third update for my EDC track adventure next year in May, and also I wanted um, to give a couple explanations um, for my Instagram followers, or just to introduce myself on Instagram. Um, and I wanted to get a lot of stuff out uh, so that I'd have this for memory, for my own memory. Okay, so anyway, I guess if this is the first video you've watched, go back and watch my other two updates. If you want to know the full story, I don't want to go over it here. I'm just back. I can just recap quickly, and quickly for me may not be quickly, but and I'm sorry if it. I'll try and speak up a little bit louder because this microphone doesn't pick my voice up quite as good as I want it to. But it's early in the morning, and anyway, uh, other people in the house sleeping and stuff like that. So, like my dad, they would like, "Who are you talking to at 4 o'clock in the morning?" I'm like, God. So, um, right, recap. I even distract myself when I start thinking about stuff. Um, Last year, back in May of this year, I went on a trip to Las Vegas, not intentionally, but I had to pick up my mother because of circumstances beyond my control. So I went and picked her up. This was during EDC weekend 2025. So, me thinking that I'd be able to get down there and back quickly was the the wrong thought. Got stuck in traffic, and took us it took us about, well, I left here about 1 p.m. I think, um, and then we got home the next morning about 7 a.m. So, and we weren't doing anything other than really driving and eating. It's not like we stopped for much. So on the way, back through sitting in traffic, I'm like, huh. I always wanted to go to EDC. Is one of the bucket list things. So got online and looked at tickets, and they were already doing the pre-sale that next weekend. I was like, okay. So I signed up for the pre-sale, which is only $5 to put your name into the pre-sale ticket list. So I was like, okay, $5. And I was lucky enough to I was able to get a VIP ticket for EDC 2026. Yay me. So, but because I had to be online at 10 a.m. on that next Friday, and the buffering on I was like, I know this fucking website's gonna be fucking stacked. So, um, took me until 10:30. I was sitting there waiting at 10, and it took me until 10:30. Refreshing and shit and buffering and shit for me to actually out. By 10:30, I was worried that I wasn't even able to get a ticket, but I was able to get one. So yay! It was tier. They were already at tier 3 VIPs when I got mine. So, or was it tier 6? I forget. Tier 3 or 6. Anyway, I know it was like close to being sold out, but so I got mine. Anyway, so I started doing some videos like this to kind of, just document the trek and the experience of me from one year, to the next year of getting there, what I've had to do, what I've gone through and shit. Um, so here I am on update number 3 now. But I mean, I wasn't really planning on doing an update, but I need to do an update. Anyway. Okay, so that's the recap. So now I'm here. And forgive me if I have to blow my nose or something like that, because my nose is stuffy. And anyway, so October's been an interesting month. I got at least one outfit finished as far as what I want to wear at EDC. I think maybe I have 2 more ideas that I know that I want to do. And right. So I I knew that I back in May I knew that I needed to get in better shape to be able to survive a 3-day festival like EDC. Um, Notwithstanding, I mean I was already trying to lose weight and I have been, but getting in shape for a festival like that is basically like getting in shape for a marathon. You know, I'm an older guy. um, not. I've always tried to keep physically fit enough to be able to get around and stuff like that. I'm not decrepit or anything. I mean, I do have health problems, but to get to where I know I needed to be, I've been working on it. And this just past weekend, I got through a 3-day festival called Get Freaky here. Get Freaky, called here, which is here, held here in Utah, in Salt Lake City every year. Um, and I'm really proud of myself for getting through it. In the past, I would go to one day and I'd be done. I'd be like, I am fucking done. Fuck the rest. I'm just like, no, fuck it. I am done. So, I mean, first I was like, okay, I plan on doing DOS. I did one day at DOS intentionally to see how I would get through, how I would feel after one day at DOS, uh, and I got through that. And at the end of it, I did feel like I was like, but I was on the side. It was sorry. I was. It was only a 2-day, I think, but I know it was only the second day. I didn't go to the first day or whatever, so there wasn't another day to go to anyway. But I got through that and I was okay with it and I had a good time there. So I was like, okay, let's do the 3-day freaky and see if I can get through it. And I got through it, but boy, was I like dead to the world when I got home. I was like zombie. Like I like sat back on my chair here and I fell asleep. I pretty much fell asleep right here. I just slept right here, and then I got up, woke up, and then moved to my bed, got some more sleep, but dang it, this is going to be an annoying video. It's not like I can redo it. I want to do this now, so I have stuff in my mind. Anyway, I got through it. I got through day 1, and I slept, got up, drank more water and Gatorade, and went to day 2 and came home and slept. It was like one long day was what it ended up being. for me. It was like, okay, I was like, fuck, another concert. Fuck, another. It's like, oh my god. It's like, fuck. It wasn't even like Groundhog's Day. It wasn't like the same day repeating, but it was just like one long day for me. It was like get up. It was I was literally living eat, sleep, rave, repeat for, which is true. It's like I wasn't really eating though. I was like, well, I was eating a little, but I didn't have an appetite. I wasn't hungry. I just kept myself hydrated. I knew I just, you know, I learned a lot of lessons too about that. Getting through that. Lesson number one: Gatorade's my new friend. When it comes to surviving festivals like that, Gatorade or some other kind of electrolyte drink, not just water. You need the electrolytes. You need to keep yourself hydrated, but you need the sugars. You need that kind of component, and not soda. Soda, no, bad. Stay away from soda unless you're 21 and you can handle that. But I still no. You stay away from soda. Electrolytes and Gatorade, good. Okay, so and I got through it. Physically, I wasn't. I wasn't. I could feel myself diminishing from. I mean, slightly diminishing from day 2 to day 3, as far as what I can accomplish. During the concert, as far as waving the fan around, holding my fan up in the air, or whatever. It was getting a little bit more difficult. And, wearing those beads, everybody kept asking me, how heavy is that, on your hand and stuff like that. So, I'll show you what I... So, with my bead making, I'm like, okay, so, right, this is mirror tight in my, this is my 3X cuff, right? This is my 3X cuff, which by itself is, I mean, is quite, it's big. I'm like, that took me so long. This by itself took me 8 hours to do. 8 hours. I mean, 8 hours of total work. You know. And if you look on my Instagram somewhere, I'm pretty sure I have it. I have it shows going from start, from start to finish. Show some steps, right? So then I'm like, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing building an entire rotator? I don't know. I literally did not intend on making this, but it happened. It's like, oops, but this is a glorious mistake, right? Like, put it on. Okay, I'll put it on. So this is a 10X. It's a 10X total. And X means, for those of you who don't understand what I mean by X, you look at this. If you look at that close enough, you can see the X's, right? So from bottom to top, there's 10 of these X's that go from top to bottom. That's why it's called 10X. So this is a 2X cuff, right? This is a 2X 3D cuff with a 6X sleeve and then another 2X 3D cuff on the other end. And you're like, well, why do you call it a rotator? Because this goes on this. We want to show us how it goes on it. Okay. This goes, you put it in the hole. So obviously you need to either use elastic string or plastic string, and what I use and what I live and die with for me personally is the plastic string. I get this at Walmart. It's $8 for and it's it's done good for me. You're like, well, plastic string breaks, elastic string breaks. I don't live that argument. I've had one cuff break, and guess what kind of string it was made out of? Elastic. No, yeah, cloth covered elastic. Not my plastic. My plastic. I don't have. I've had zero singles bust. How many singles have I had bust in a trade? None. 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 Yes, none. So there we go. You put so and then how do you put it on? You're gonna twist it on like that, and then this just and so you can shake it around and shit. But so this is like wearing a five. I don't know. It's like one of those 5 pound weights or something, right? It's just like wearing a 5 pound weight. It's like, holding a 5 pound weight constantly, right, on your arm. And then how do you take it off? You just shake it off like that. There you go. Okay. Excuse me. So, of course, that's going with me to EDC, which is fucking cool. That's fucking awesome. I love that thing. And people that see it, they're just like, wow, and it looks fucking cool. It's cool. I'm like, and I never thought that I would be able to make something like that, but I have. I've just been able to pick up. Wow, I'm already at 17 minutes. This video is going to be fucking long. I apologize. If I hope I can be entertaining enough for you to listen to one guy sit here and ramble on. Okay, so let's move on. That took a while. Okay, so Get Freaky was an amazing experience to me for a lot of reasons, and I wanted to go over, to explain why, for me personally, why this was such an amazing experience. Like, I'm gonna end up crying. It's just I'm gonna end up crying. If I don't cry, how I got into the rave culture and became a candy kid to begin with. Back in 1992, when I was serving in the Army. So I dated myself. If you want to do your own math and figure that shit out, when I was in the Army in 92, I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but you can guess anywhere from, I was 17 to 19. You can take that, take those ages. And when I was in the Army in 92, and I was lucky enough to be stationed at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, in Oahu. Lucky enough, I always say, well, I was lucky to be in Hawaii, not lucky to be in the Army in Hawaii, because being in the Army in Hawaii sucked. Sucks. Because I was part of the 25th Infantry Division, Light, and that means we walk every fucking where. No vehicles. Like, every company of infantry had one vehicle for the... Oh, God. This is annoying the shit out of me. One vehicle for the commander. The commander gets a vehicle. Nobody else has vehicles. I have to add a caveat to that. The TOWs, the anti-armor, has vehicles because they're TOWs. TOWs is a anti-tank missile system. Um, so the tows ended up being the taxi service for the entire battalion. Um, and or the brigade, but no, I would say more for the battalion. They became the taxi service. Plus, the the mess unit had their own vehicles. They may have had two. I'm not sure, but his mess, needs a vehicle. But other than that, we didn't have vehicles. I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to be with the chaplain, so the chaplain had his own vehicle, um, which was aside from which was an assigned outside of, the regular equipment list. Anyway, so I was lucky enough to usually have transportation when I was just with the chaplain. When I'm out with the troops, no, walking around. Anyway, um, went to this club called Pink's Garage, and I don't even know if it's there anymore, but you can Google it. I should Google it and find out. But went to this club called Pink's Garage, which is what it sounds like. It was uh, an old warehouse garage that was graffitied up. It was, back in the 90s. It was dark and graffiti on the walls and bare, had no furniture really. It was just an empty space where they threw up some sound systems and played fucking music. And they played O Fortuna by, I forget the group that I'd have to look it up again. That when it was released in '92, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I couldn't dance to it. The beat kept changing. It was like, you get you get the operatic part when you got the opera singing, and then you got the huge bass, the orchestral part, and then the da 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 da. You just can't dance to it. I just basically would just stand there shocked at the music. Was my I was like, wow, what the hell am I listening to? And from then on, it was just, you know, O Fortuna pretty much kicked off. That came, I think, I don't know where it originated from. I'm assuming from the UK. The rave scene started in the UK and came to the United States. Hawaii and Oahu, their club scene was a little bit more um, hip as far as what they had uh, trendy wise. They were more. Um, Hawaii would get more of the hip, more of the trends before the United States mainland would. Anyway, so O Fortuna was like the first song that I ever heard to get into the rave culture. And so last year I decided to kind of get back into it. After years and years, right? I mean, shit goes on in your life and you have shit happen, and I never stopped listening to the music, or I never stopped loving the music. And I also, was online a lot, um, listening to stuff like that. But anyway, um, I figured the club scene was kind of done with me, or I was done with it, right? But I guess I'm not now. But so going back to last weekend, on Saturday, Adventure Club played, and then BTSM played, Black Tiger Sex Machine. And I'm not totally hip with the culture, with the DJs and the music scene now. I'm starting to be, but I've always heard of BTSM. I knew they were hard. That was an understatement of the year when I'm like, oh, I know they're hard. I know they play a lot of bass. Bass. Boy, was I. But so I was not familiar with what they played. I mean, if I knew, I would have been listening to them prior to last weekend. Believe me, I would have. Let me like get to the point. Well, the point is that they played fucking a fucking really deep bassist remix of O Fortuna. I was already in a state of orgasmic coming. I mean, it's just, yeah. So I use that word. It's just like, I don't know how else to describe it though. It was such a euphoric, out of this world, mind blowing experience that I associate it with. The only thing that I can associate it with is just like sex. I mean, it was so amazing. And then they fucking play O Fortuna. I mean, like, Black Tiger Sex Machine was beyond anything I've ever experienced before. I was just jaw dropped, standing there at that point. And then they blow, and then so I just started crying. I was crying. I was like having this emotional connection with how it all started for me. And I was back. It was just okay. Good. Okay. No. Well, we'll see. I was back to. I mean, it was like. I was like. Once again, the universe has given me another confirmation, affirmation that I am where I'm supposed to be. That it is okay for me, even at my age. You know, because there is a lot of ageism I discovered. There's a lot of, people, young kids. When I say young kids, I mean 20s, 30s. When they see me, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" You know, I get sometimes I get bad looks, just because I'm an older guy. Like, I don't know, whether I'm just there to I can't even talk about it. It makes me mad when I think about what they may or may not be thinking about me, because I'm there. I'm there because I love the music. I'm there because I'm fucking making shit like that, and they're wearing nothing. Like, like I have fucking. I swear a lot. I have fucking candy, dude, that I just fucking wear every fucking day. Excuse my language. You know, got my plur my my plur bracelet. Peace, love, unity, and respect. Right. Anyway, and I got my candy that I wear every day. Right. What do you have? Nothing. You know, that's okay. I bring a bag of trinkets and shit to give to people. They're like, coming at me, coming up to me all the time, going, I would trade candy with you, but I don't have any. I didn't bring any of mine with me. I didn't wear any of mine. Is what I hear all the time, and that's okay. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll give you some. So I make all these candy rings that I give to people and stuff like that. So, and I make shit like that, right? That I showed you. What are you making? Nothing. So go away. Take your ageism and shove it. I'm gonna be at EDC. Where are you gonna be? Probably at home. I don't know, listening to your sound system and your MP3 or whatever the hell you're listening to or whatever. You know, but it was I want to use the word, it was life changing experience for me hearing that. But that even saying it was a life changing experience for me doesn't even it's an understatement. Even that for me. Oh. Dang it. It's funny how I'll say dang it and then fucking shit at the same time, huh? I got the whole vernacular covered, right? I got the older generation don't swear stuff and the swear stuff at the same time. Funny. Okay. Uh, anyway, I was literally crying in. I was standing. I was. BTSM was doing their thing. You know, they look fucking hot with their fucking, you know, lit up robot eyes and shit, and robot cats. I was. It was amazing. The the visuals were amazing. You know, it was cool. But and one was like, you know, he was like at one point he was like, you know, like he was the director or the you know, the director of the symphony type person. You know, he was directing the, you know, he was directing the his audience to do what he wanted them to do, and they would, you know, either you know bang their head or whatever. Um, but I mean, when I heard the first few riffs come in, right, I'm like, because I try to pick up on the undertones and not just I don't listen to the bass, you know, I try and listen to the undertones and the background, because usually the background will tell you what what is the melody. You hear the melody in the background instead of in the foreground. In the foreground, you're going to be hearing the bass and the do 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 and stuff like that. The do do do. And I heard the first few riffs come in, and I was like, no, no, this is not what I'm hearing right now. But it was, and it was like, and I was just like, no, it is not. And then, and then, and then the the opera started, the operatic started, you know, and I was like jaw dropped. I was just jaw dropped. Because at that point, my mind was already blown by all the bass and stuff from BTSM. You know, once again, it's Black Tiger Sex Machine for those of you who don't understand BTSM. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you understand what BTSM is. If you don't, I'm not talking about anything sexual. It's the name of the group, name of the DJ group. The two. Just Google BTSM. You'll understand. So I and it starts playing, and I'm like crying. I have no other avenue of emotional release now. I just I couldn't even dance to it, you know, obviously. Like I said before. But it was, you know, it was their bass remix of it. You know, it wasn't the exact thing, but I could hear it, and I was like, wow. Anyway, and then you want to go, well, Sunday. Sunday for me was a less emotional experience. I mean, Atlians was really good. I liked Atlians a lot better than. I mean, I've seen Excision 3 times. He's good. I'm not going to naysay him. I enjoy him. I enjoy Excision. I liked him. I dig him. You know, but uh, I stayed for Atlians. I listened to like half an hour of Excision, and then I took off because I wanted to beat the crowd out. to the lockers and to the parking lot and stuff. So, so you're like, you didn't stay for all of Excision set? No, I did not. I've seen him, 3 times. I don't. I mean, there's only. I mean, probably very few groups I would stay for their set and deal with the crowds. Metallica would be one that I would stay until the end to see their encore. What they're gonna play for their encore. Um, I can't even think of a DJ that I would stay through their entire set, other than Tiesto. I would stay through his entire set, but like on like the last night of the last show of the con. But Excision, no, he's not one of the. I didn't say anyway. For those of you who think I'm digging on Excision, I'm not. I'm just saying. Anyway, I just wanted to get out before the crowd because I'm an older guy. I don't want to deal with all the crowds and stuff. Anyway, so yeah. So I got home and I had a little bit more energy because I didn't, and I was crying in my car and I was like trying to decompress what just happened, and throwing in the fact that other things that have happened to me that I've experienced prior to this. With a certain tarot card reading that you know who I'm talking about, that blew my mind as well. And everything from last May to now just tells me that I'm on the right, that I am where I am where I should be. I am doing the right thing. That I'm not just having some odd, midlife crisis. Uh, that you know that people love me for me. Even in the moment, I don't need people to love me like fall in love. But in the moment, like you can make friends for a few hours and hang out with somebody for a few hours and be okay with saying goodnight at the end of the night, and then maybe meeting or not meeting them ever again, or talking to them online or whatever, right? But it's okay to make friends for a few hours because that's what we all are with Plur, right? I tell people when I get dressed up, like I'm the spirit of Plur. Because there's not a lot of people. Well, at Get Freaky there were more, and I was very happy to see every one of you that wore candy and wore your costumes because it made my heart happy to see all that. It gives me good feelings and stuff like that. Anyway, I guess that's it for the update. Almost 40 minutes. Um, but I needed to talk about it because it was important to me, and maybe it gives you a little bit better insight into who I am. All right.